We're very happy to have Ms. Ferdous Begum here with us at the Institute for the Cultural Diplomacy. We know that you've done a lot of work in the area of women's rights and you're a gender specialist. And I would very much like to ask you regarding your work in the CEDAW committee, what would your opinions be given the current situation? The conflict going on in Syria, what's happening in the Congo, in terms of cases of rape and sexual abuse. What can be done in terms of the work that CEDAW are doing, the reports that they're making, to really make a difference in these areas with regards to discrimination against women and violence against women?
Thank you very much. My name is Ferdous Ara Begum, former member of the UN CEDAW committee. I worked at the CEDAW from 2007 to 2010, and during 2006, actually in the election, CEDAW election, I stood the first out of 140 countries at that time. Almost, except 2-3 countries, I got vote of all countries. So it was the highest vote I have ever received. So from 2007 to 2010, I have examined about 115 countries, state report on the advancement of women. So also another issue is very important, that is under my leadership, and I took the initiative to form a general recommendation on the protection of the human rights of older women, and we worked for 3 years. I was the chairperson, and I had another committee members. They are the members of the working group, and we worked for 3 years. And in 2010, CEDAW committee have accepted the general recommendation on the rights of older women. Now, this is the only, international protection strategy for the rights of older women, for their protection. And you will be happy to know that this year in 2012, UK NGOs, they produced a shadow report to the CEDAW committee on the basis of this general recommendation, and they actually included some of the important areas that were not, reported in the government report, such as violence against older women, poverty of older women, and all these things. So this general recommendation is very important. And you have raised question on Syria and Congo. Syria is not a member to the CEDAW committee. Only few countries are not member, 7 countries. Syria is one of them. And Congo is a member. And this genocide and rape, CEDAW committee has issued a, statement on the government of Congo to stop this heinous crime against women. And also, in the, examination of reports, CEDAW committee can apply enormous, power, because at present 187 countries, they are parties to the convention. And they are, after ratification, they are under the obligation to protect, respect and fulfill the recommendations of CEDAW committee. This is a state obligation. This is called a state obligation. So this is very important. They are accountable to the committee. They are accountable to the international treaty body. They are accountable to the UN. So there is no way they can escape. So what happened? Every 4 years, the countries need to submit report on the women's rights to the CEDAW committee, and CEDAW committee, examine those reports through constructive dialogue with the state parties, where high government bodies like ministers and the secretaries, they represent MPs, they represent those, they were the member of the delegation of those, state delegation. And they are accountable to the CEDAW committee. This is like a jury board, We are asking them, raising them all those questions. And in a way, government is bound to take action against all these things. So violence against women and rape and trafficking, we have, the CEDAW committee has general recommendation on violence, on trafficking, and all these issues. And this is what CEDAW committee is doing. And also in the UN, there is a special rapporteur on violence against women.
Sure, and just mentioning trafficking, we know that you've done a lot of work in the International Organization for Migration. Could you tell us a little bit about the work that you've done in terms of advocating and lobbying for the end of trafficking of women and girls?
Yes. You see, trafficking is the modern day slavery. This is the worst kind of human rights abuse against women. The women are abused at the country of transit, country of origin, and country of destination. Everywhere, they don't have any. They are so much. This is so much crime, and this is a kind of slavery. So this is against all human rights. So what I have done in my country also, the poverty is the main reason for women are being trafficked to other countries, and also to allure to have a better life. So women at the country level, at the villages, they got the promise of good marriage, good job in some other countries, and also, in a way, they are being trafficked, allured, and they want to get this opportunity. Instead of any opportunity, they are in trouble, rather. In the country of origin and at the transit point, many of them are raped and ended up in the brothels. And also in the country of destination also. It is happening due to armed conflict. In many of the Afghan women, I have seen personally in Middle Eastern, hotels, as a transit passenger, they take us to hotels, and I have seen the cabaret dancers are, Afghan girls and Middle Eastern girls, even Bangladeshi women, they were trafficked to India, Pakistan, and ended up in jail, and also in brothels.
And what do you think really needs to be done in terms of ending this trafficking? We look at the Afghan situation, for example.
Afghan situation, this is the, strong political will and implementation of international, commitments. There is no political will. This is a $1 million business. People, in the top bracket, many of them are involved in this type of heinous crime.
So then how can we change that?
This is, the stern punishment. You catch them and try them and put it in the jail or whatever the law of the land says. Because if you do not try, if you do not give punishment to the perpetrator and culprit, it is going to happen. And another thing, very important thing, is the empowerment of women at the grassroots level. Train them, give them education, give them opportunity to work. That is one of the women, the returnees, the trafficked women who got this type of experience. When you are coming back to your country, it is the duty of the government and the society to give them opportunity to reintegrate in the society, not push them in further trouble.
Thank you very much for that comment. I think that's really quite profound, and I know Andrea has some more questions, so we'll give the floor to Andrea.
Talking about the duty of governments, do you believe CEDAW is the final step that governments should take in order, when it comes to women's rights, or is there something else that the international community can do in order to protect and promote women's rights? Perhaps create a sanction body?
You see, CEDAW is the only Bill of Rights for women. It has 16 operating articles, and which says, first, number 2, it change all of the, discriminatory laws. CEDAW says that country should, eliminate all sorts of discrimination against women. And first, they have to apply it in their laws, in the domestic laws. And CEDAW should be, applied in the court, and also translated in the domestic laws. Otherwise, the discriminatory laws are there, so you cannot implement equality in your society. First, then the equality in education, equality in health, equality in justice, all these things, are equality in marriage and dissolution of marriage. Those are important issues for women's rights. Those need to be addressed by the government, and CEDAW committee against each of the articles, they ask questions. And also, CEDAW has 28 general recommendations to understand better about the women's rights. And then CEDAW has another important issue, that is the optional protocol to CEDAW. And any for the systemic violation of human rights against women, any organization or any individual can file complaint to the CEDAW committee. This is like an international jurisprudence. So CEDAW is an important human rights bill and human rights document and human rights instrument for the protection of the human rights of older women. And you will be happy to know that during my tenure from 2007 to 2010, I initiated and I took the leadership of the to form a general recommendation for the protection of the human rights of older women. Why,
Fantastic work. Congratulations.
Yes, and why, in the present world, the aging, it is a real issue now. Women are living longer than men, and women are also, they are, as women and as they are old, getting older, they're discriminated in two different ways. So they are facing, in most of the countries, women do not have any income, do not have any right to the property, and they are totally dependent on their sons, on their, daughters, on their younger generation. They do not have any respect for these older women, So we demand that government need to change their laws, allocate budget allocation. This is one of the important issues, budget allocation. Need to be adequate budget for women, adequate budget for older women, and need to create job opportunity for women and including older women. And also there should have a government need to have a strong institutional, what do you call it, institution that is like Ministry of Women and Children and all these things, so that they can implement ministry and institutional body to implement CEDAW for the protection of the human rights of women in their own country. And in a way, all these things, it's a continuous monitoring. Every 4 years you have to write, report to the CEDAW. Every 2 years, CEDAW fixes 1 or 2 issues. Suppose violence against women. Suppose marriage, law on the marriage. There's no equal rights for marriage. Women cannot divorce their husband. And, domestic violence is another way, that there is law to protect women in the marital situation, marital rape. It is not, considered as a crime. So CEDAW has definite, clear, recommendation for all these things to the countries. So anyway, and the religion and the cultural and socio-cultural norms in different countries, they create discrimination against women. Suppose, FGM.
Actually, I would like to ask you a question. In what ways do you think that here, obviously, we're the Institute of Cultural Diplomacy, that we can use cultural diplomacy to really deal with discrimination against women? I know you have some experience, and you were talking about street plays and the use of arts and drama. Would you be so kind as to speak a bit more about this?
Yes, cultural diplomacy is a strong power to communicate with people. If you don't know the language, if you don't know the law of the land, and what is the punishment for the perpetrators and all this, what constitutes that this is the violence, this is this crime or that crime, that clearly. And what is called discrimination, CEDAW says is clearly. So culture is cultural diplomacy is one of the important issue that can help that can help to implement CEDAW convention in each of the country. And I can tell you my own experience when I was the Joint Secretary of the Ministry of Women and Children in Bangladesh. We have, the huge problem of trafficking and domestic violence, like all other countries. So we launched a street, what do you call it?
Demonstration? Or?
No, not demonstration. Road march.
Okay.
We launched a road march on the whole countries. Mm-hmm. It took about 38 days. We traveled our whole country, and through street drama, through recitation, through popular folk music, we wanted to popularize and to make awareness, create awareness to common people about what is violence, what is trafficking, in which situation women need to be very careful about trafficking, and what happens when a young girl is being trafficked, and why they should be very careful about false promises and all this, and what is the legal structure in the country, and how they can claim justice. All these things. Yeah. These are very important issues, and we have seen the common women, with burqa, with veil, and these, everybody attended our huge audience. They attended our program, and men also, because you need help of men also. You need to educate your men also to eradicate and eliminate violence in your country.
And when it comes to cultures and traditions, because you talked so much about them and the need to change them in order to protect women's rights, would you say that this is the hardest point that CEDAW is making when it comes to implementing women's rights, which makes countries a little bit reticent to apply these laws?
Yes, to change culture and tradition is a bit, you cannot do it overnight. It's a bit difficult. Regarding abortion, many developed countries, Catholic countries, they don't agree with this. And women, girls, they are dying. But still that laws are not, the politicians are not taking initiative to change these laws. And also, many Muslim countries, they put reservation on CEDAW because they don't like to change the discriminatory laws, because this is contradictory with the Sharia law. But what we have examined, that it is not really contradictory to Muslim, religion, because Islam allowed women to get property, right to the property, more than 50% and all this, that you need to, make them understand this. You need more and more involvement of common people, religious leaders, to understand this and to propagate, to preach CEDAW. That is, we think that not only the civil society, but religious people need to be involved in this, for the rights of women. They should be with them, because, some said that Islam is a static thing. It is not. No religion and no culture is static. It evolves with the civilization, with the time and things and everything. All religion is very good. It doesn't preach violence and all these things, but man introduces all these things, isn't it? So,
and how can we actually get more women involved, like yourself, in these kinds of areas?
It comes from the heart, I was a civil servant. When I was a civil servant, I worked for women, and after retirement, I went to CEDAW. I worked for women, and now also I'm working for women's rights. That is, it comes from my heart, and until my death, I will be there.
Well, we're very happy to have you, and you really are a tremendous role model for all women working in politics and in other areas. And it's obviously a very important issue for us here at the ICD, so thank you very much, and it's really a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for answering all our questions.
If you have any question other than interview,
Sure.
I'm ready to.
Yes, and I'm sure we will actually. Pilar, do you have any questions?
Let's see. So I did, maybe she told you that we did our research on CEDAW, and I did the case study of Pakistan. And
Why did you say that?
I'm not a okay, but just one.
Ask your question, and then I'll talk later.
Alright. I did Pakistan, so I examined in detail also the education, the employment, and then what I really concluded with is that the problem in Pakistan is mainly socio-cultural. So you have these stereotypes and you have these norms and you have these certain values that really stop women from attaining a full education or whatever, and that violence against women in Pakistan is at an unacceptable level. We have the case of Malala now. There was another case only a month after an attack on a college van. So it was this, and the Taliban said that, they said to the CNN, any woman who tries to campaign for an education or whatnot is going to get the same thing because she deserves it. So do you think that there's a fear in Pakistan, for example, of what will happen to you if you do try to engage in any kind of activism as a woman or as a young girl?
I think, Pakistan is an extreme case in this regard. Not only Malala, there are, so many other cases stoned to death for young girls, but the government and the civil society need to take the lead role to change this mindset, and only through cultural diplomacy, only through cultural, they can change the mindset of people. And also I have mentioned about more and more open dialogue with the religious leaders, and sit with them in the same table and ask them, what is the problem? Why you are not accepting CEDAW? What is the real problem you are saying? Then, if you have that wisdom, you talk to them. Because, if you go, do you have my card? If I have a website, I have written an article. It is in I actually presented it in in Morocco, and it is in my website, that Islam actually provided women the highest honor and right. How So, the religious leaders said that women should not get the half of the, equal share of the inherited property. But we have seen what Islam says, that she's getting property from husband, from father, from son, and also she's acquiring the property. All this together is much higher than the equal share. So why, I mean, if you place all these things to the religious leaders, then probably they will understand that what is the real scenario. And Islam said that, Islam and all the religion, they said that give proper, not proper, the right respect and everything to the to women, because they are your mother, they are your sister, they are your wife, they are your daughter, all these things, but you have to, this is only through continuous cultural, push, you can change the mindset.
So you think it's not enough for just legislation, so it can't just be a top-down approach, it needs to, because it's very...
You have to go and talk to people.
Yeah.
Only legislation cannot change a society. Other than, the female genital mutilation in African countries, it is there for years, for centuries. It's not a good practice, but it is there. Now, many countries, they are opposing this. They said that they are doing this, crime because they want to protect women. But this is not. So you have to, and some women or some people are living on this practice. They are also opposing. So you got to provide job to those people, and you have to talk to them and raise awareness among all young people, their parents, and the society. And also, the older women, they also face, death threat and killing in some African countries, as they call them as witchcraft. So this is, many older women face death threat and murder and killing. So you have to talk to not only the legislation, not only enforcement is the important issue. Enforcement is the main problem everywhere. Implementation and enforcement.
Thank you very much for honoring us with this interview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.